Still going strongly in the closing minutes. Great one by Kevin McAllister! What a goal that is! Delivery's good, there's Hagan. Now McGrillen, he scored!
It's Stokes on a hat-trick! Goal number 3 for Anthony Stokes!
Ralston saw off Robertson and delivered! Sybil scores! That's the goal! That's the moment! Samuel off and running again. Is it going to be the hat-trick? You know it is.
This is Falkirk Daft.
Welcome once again to Falkirk Daft, your unofficial podcast dedicated to everything to do with the mighty Falkirk Bairns. We're recording on a Sunday this week, so the game's fresh in our mind, and despite the horrible conditions yesterday and a couple of questionable decisions, we all walked away with big smiles on our faces, didn't we, Ross?
We did indeed, buddy. You alright this evening?
I'm okay, and you've got a smile on your faces now because you went on a fishing trip today, didn't you?
I did this morning. Yes, I did. Twitter fishing trip. It's always good to just cash your night out.
Claiming that Peterhead laid down to Dunfermline yesterday. Do you know what? Have you watched the goals from the Dunfermline Peterhead game?
No, I can't say I have.
No, I jumped on just that it popped up on Twitter, and I thought I'll have a wee look at it. I mean, Dunfermline, to be fair, they scored some very good goals there, but like there was two that were just absolutely minging. But hey ho, we can't, Clyde would probably say we're the same on Saturday as well. But yeah, I liked your little fishing. You caught a couple of bites from the Peterhead podcast, the Clyde boys as well. Yeah, I don't know if you caught any pars right enough.
The pars podcast guy chipped in where a wee comment about how they lost on corners, but they scrambled the win in the end. And I said, "Oh, that sounds familiar."
Well, exactly. Yeah, two big games coming up against them very, very soon. So, it could be, the way we're going form-wise at the moment, we're in the top, us and Dunfermline, the top form teams in the division. So we will see what happens. We'll get into the game, talk about that a bit more later. I went moan fishing expedition yesterday on our Twitter. You can get.
I did see that. That was the Queen's Park one, wasn't it?
At Falkirk Daft. I just like to chat a wee bit about that, Ross, actually. I don't know if anyone saw this tweet. You can see it on our Twitter feed at Falkirk Daft, as I say. The SNS group, who are constructing Lesser Hampden at the moment, it was meant to be ready by November, by the way. Queen's Park still playing their games at Oakview. I spoke to the groundsman at Oakview Sandy, and he was saying, it's completely overrun because they've got, at the moment, Steny have got Queen's Park there, they've got the first team there, they've got the over 35s. Syngenta, I don't know if Syngenta are still playing their games there as well.
I'm not sure.
But no. It was just a logistical nightmare in terms of arranging fixtures because you've got the over 35s, you've got the women's team as well. But it was meant to be done by November, and obviously it still continues. But the pictures, I saw it when I was going to see Jerry Cinnamon at Hampden. I saw it through the gate, and I was like, oh my God, is that it? And it just leaves a sour taste in my mouth. Now, listen, I'm still bitter about it from 20 years ago when we were denied promotion twice. Well, promotion, playoff, and straight promotion. When we were, 20 odd years ago, when we were demanded to have a 10,000 seater all seated stadium, that we were denied promotion. That, but then you see Queen's Park, a team that are averaging 400 people. They've been bankrolled through the divisions, and then they're expecting to play in the Premier League with that stadium, and it just leaves a bitter taste in my mouth. Now, listen, if you would not deny, because we were screwed over by it, so you wouldn't want to deny if Queen's Park win that league, they deserve to be promoted. They absolutely deserve to be promoted, 100%, because we went through it. But it just, when you look back at that rule and you look what we went through as a club, it just defies belief. Absolutely defies belief. When you see, and I put this up last night on our Twitter, a couple of Airdrie supporters jumped on there, the guys at OTL podcast jumped on. That's effectively what made Airdrie go bust, investing in the Pennycar Stadium, the Excelsior. And, it's just madness when you look at it now.
You would think there's a happy medium somewhere, John, because the 10,000 seater rule was ridiculous, as was most of the criteria that the SPL put in place, right? However, And as you've said, there's no issue with teams. If they've won the league, they've won the league on merit. They should then be promoted, right? What Queen's Park are putting in place, though, is not fit for Premier League football. It's not fit for Championship football. And let's face it, if they were in League One, it would currently. It wouldn't be fit for Falkirk or Dunfermline to be coming to town either. It looks extremely small. I'm not even sure how they are going to segregate what they've built so far, which looks to be a really, really small stand along the wing, and then what appears to be the smallest of directors' boxes across from it, and that's it currently. And I'm sure there's more construction going to happen, but it doesn't look as if it's going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, Owen Coyle's obviously doing a fantastic job at Queen's Park, but when you hear that obviously they're being bankrolled, it just feels a bit Gretna to me. Do you know what I mean? You think if Willie Hawhayes is ploughing all the money into Queen's Park, there's boys going there for double, treble what they were on at previous clubs, and you've got a couple of ex-Bairns in there. Tommy Robson, Louis Longridge is there as well. But you just go, Christ, if all it takes is for him to walk away, and you worry for the club, if he decides to go, you know what, I've had my fun with it now, and decides to walk away, you look at what happened to Gretna, and it was just, the only thing you can say, he is an absolute, he's minted. Absolutely,
it is minted. And I suppose the other difference between them and Gretna is it is Queen's Park. They've got a tradition, they've got a history there. They don't have a fan base, as we know. They've always sort of flittered. Well, in modern times, they've always sort of flittered between sort of 400-500, and that doesn't look to have changed, even with them doing really, really well. So they are different to the Gretna situation. Where they're not different from the Gretna situation is they are being bankrolled, as you say. Like, I know they got a bit of money for selling Hampden to the SFA, but let's face it, that money's probably gone into the stadium redevelopment. So they're not going to be sitting there with millions in the bank. I'd be shocked if they are, but and even if they are, it's going to dwindle on the crowds that they do get. So it's an odd situation. It doesn't look like a great place to watch football, though. Right in the shadow of a massive stadium like Hampden, and you've got this teeny tiny. I'm not even sure what it holds. Looking at it, would you say that holds even 1,000 people with the seats that they've? I don't know.
It probably does. I don't know what. It's probably about 2,000 seater stadium or whatever. But it's going to be. I'll be interested to see when it's finished and what the capacity actually is. I mean, we've seen the pictures of it, so we're just judging, what we've seen by pictures. But it's just. I just looking at. There's no definitive reason that Queen's Park will go up. They might not. They're still sitting top of the table at the moment, but it just brought back so many bad memories. It brought back many memories. But if they get, like I say, if they win the league, they deserve to go up. But it's ridiculous when you look back at it. It just opened up of wounds, Ross. That's what it did. But enough of Queen's Park, enough of that chat. Let's get on to Falkirk, and let's go over to Benny T's corner, Ross.
Yes, it's been a wee bit quieter in Benny T's this last week, isn't it, John?
It has been. Obviously, the big news this week was Allegria's loan has been. Well, Rangers have recalled Juan Allegria. We don't know there's rumours at the stadium that he's went back to Colombia. I think a family member is taken ill. So I think from what we can understand is that the Rangers and Falkirk said, right, well, that's happening. We don't know when he's going to come back. Let's just, cut our losses here. It's a real shame, like I say, that we've not been able to hold him, because we are obviously short up front now, and that's all the chat at Benny T's is, where is the striker? We're going to need a striker now. We've got a right back. Blaine, brilliant game again yesterday. Really, really impressive. But the talk is, where is the firepower going to come from? We saw Gary Oliver, and we'll get in. I want to talk a bit about Gary Oliver when we get into the game. But our only options at the moment are Burrow and Gary Oliver. So we're really short there now.
Yeah, no, we are short there. And listen, let's not beat about the bush. We know John McGlynn's trying. Like he said it in the Falkirk Herald last week. He said it post match with Lewis, which I know we'll listen to in a wee while as well. He said it with him last night as well. So he's trying. They are trying to get someone in. Obviously, they are restricted to the loan market. There's not any funds there to bring anyone in terms of signing someone permanently. I suppose unless someone gets freed. But so we're at the mercy of other clubs and other players who are maybe holding out for an opportunity too. But I'm saying desperate. We're obviously scoring goals. We're making chances. So I don't know if we're like properly desperate, but it would be great to have a bit more options there because, as you say, we've got Burrell there who came off the bench again yesterday and did really well. Gary Oliver works his socks off. He's not a goal scorer though, and he's not a goal finisher as we saw yesterday because he passed up 2 or 3 chances. But we do need someone in soon, I would suggest.
What have you heard?
As we've just said, John, it's been really quiet. Obviously, the Ewan Henderson rumour from Hearts isn't going away. The only thing is they signed a couple of boys last week. Hearts did, both strikers, I think, as well. So it could be that lad's going to head out, and he didn't play. He wasn't in the squad for Hearts on Friday night, interestingly. So you do wonder if he's on the move. Fingers crossed it would be to ourselves. Obviously, there was a bit of chat about the lad from Rangers. Was it Tony Weston?
Yeah.
Although I don't know if that's people just putting 2 and 2 together and coming up with random numbers, So he doesn't really fit the John McGlynn mould of a short, small striker. It doesn't really. I think John will be looking for someone in the Allegria build and
big, strong,
probably maybe even someone taller than Allegri as well. But it's just been really quiet, and I know we joked about this last week. It's not a bad thing because it is good that the club's a bit more tighter now in terms of the rumour mill. It's obviously not great for us because we want to talk about it, but in terms of actual noise and news coming out of the stadium, it is pretty tight.
There was a rumour flying about that 2 were going to come in, one from down south and one from Scotland, 2 attackers as well. I mean, could you play? I mean, when he gets back to fitness, we don't know where Lowell is in terms of his fitness, but could there be an opportunity to play Lowell through the middle,
Yeah, maybe he's a good enough finisher anyway. He seems to be able to hold the ball up pretty well too, but then he is good from that sort of driving midfield position. He's really good at doing that. So hopefully he's not going to be too far away. Do you know, I just think you're right. We've got a right back in now. I think we're a midfielder, a wee dirty wee midfielder, although again, we're talking about players moving and doing well. Big Henderson's done fantastically well. And besides Steve McGinn. But it probably would be good to have another bit of cover in there, plus an experienced forward, but everybody's crying out for one of them.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at yesterday's bench, we are starting to look a little bit light in terms of our squad and personnel, and you just think a couple of injuries now to that. We don't know where Williamson is. Watson's on his way back, but you're looking at the bench, you've got McGuffey, Martin, Yates, Burrell, Mackay and Pierce Carroll on there as well. So yeah, I want to put a name into the mix here as well. But this is just a name that a guy, the Tiwi Darmaloa. I don't know if you've heard of this guy, Ross, playing for Bowness Athletic at the moment. Now, probably one for the future, but he has scored a ridiculous amount of goals for Bowness. I think he's into 45 plus goals for the season now for Bowness Athletic. He played for Steny for a bit, but apparently he's found his way at Bowness Athletic now. So Tiwi Daramoa, I want to put that name out there because he has scored an absolute barrelload for Bowness Athletic.
What age is he, John?
He's 20, I think. He's 20.
Right, okay, so he's really young. Right, okay, so he's still young.
So it could be worth a punt, maybe. He's maybe worth
you never know. It's obviously a massive different level in terms of where we're at.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
But then if someone like that's not going to cost the earth and there's a bit of money there, the trouble is just now money's tight. And every bit of money we have just now, you want it to go on someone that's actually going to come in, make a massive difference. So you're right, it could be one for the future. But for now, no, I think we need to try and get someone who's going to come in and try and score maybe 10 goals between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, we will see what happens. But that's very quiet in Benny T's at the moment. But if you hear anything, please drop us a message at Falkirk Daft Pod on email, or Falkirk Daft on Twitter or Facebook. Right, club news. Everyone at the club was saddened. We had a 1 minute silence at the weekend there for the passing of former club doctor and director Dr. Gillies Sinclair. There's an amazing piece that Michael White's written about him. You'll see that up on the Falkirk website. One of the first board directors was involved in the board as well as around the club. You know, I wasn't aware of his work because I'm slightly younger, but reading what Michael wrote about him seemed to be massive, you know, at the club.
Yeah. As always, Michael's pieces are just phenomenal, aren't they? Even when you don't know someone or you've not had the pleasure of meeting someone, you actually, by the time you've finished reading,
you feel you know them.
You feel you know them. The only I certainly remember the name, and it's purely just remember when remember when you were younger, probably more so, John. And you'd buy the programs every week. I always remember seeing his name in the program, because I'm sure he was the club's doctor through the 90s and what have you. And as you say, he was a board member as well. But I certainly remember the name.
Yeah, so thoughts with his family, who are still all in the Falkirk area as well. The match against Kelly has been moved to Friday the 24th of March, 7:45 kickoff. That's because Scotland are playing Cyprus at Hampden the next again day. We love a Friday night under the lights, don't we?
We do. It's this season it's been pretty decent for the club. So both in terms of the scoreline and the crowd. So I think that'll be another big one. It's a good idea because obviously you don't want to come up against a sold out Hampden, and I see there's a few clubs doing likewise as well, so it definitely makes sense. And as we've just said, though, a Friday night under the lights at the Bernabeu has been pretty successful for us so far, so long may it continue.
And it's our bogey team Kelty that we've obviously got as well. The only bad thing about a Friday night is if you get beaten, you've got a whole weekend then to just mope about, you know. At least if it's games on a Saturday, you've only got kind of Sunday before you're back into Monday. But if you get beat on Friday night, like, you know, moaning and being a grump all weekend.
Yeah.
So.
Hopefully 2 wins for the Navy Blue over the course of that weekend. That's the hope.
Absolutely. Blair Snedden's extended his loan at Berwick Rangers. We've not really seen, you know, since Blair Snedden's come to the club, we've hardly seen him really, have we?
Not really. Bits here and there. I think the last time I maybe saw him was it that Bonnyrigg game. I remember he played maybe half of that, or maybe just a bit more than half of that game. Did okay, but he was never ever going to be a permanent feature. I assume this takes him up to the end of his deal with Falkirk, so we're probably not going to see him. So as the club have said, best wishes to him while he's there, and best luck when he moves on as well.
Yeah, I just never really got a sniff, really, Blair Snedden. So, so good luck to Blair. We'll see what happens there. And just a shout out, if you're looking for a night out, on Friday the March 3rd of March, the club are doing a speakers night with Peter Martin and Alan Ruff to raise money for the Falkirk Academy. Obviously, there's still that conversation, and you know, the re-establishment of the Falkirk Academy is still ongoing, is still a big plan. So yeah, that's on sale now. Tickets £60 per person. You can get a table of 10 for £5.50. All the details are on the club website for that. So yeah, that's club news. But let's get into the big news, which was the game against Clyde at the weekend. And as ever, we welcome a guest pundit onto Falkirk Daft. Please welcome to Falkirk Daft, it's Jim Millar.
Hi guys.
Hi Jim, how you doing? You all right?
Yeah, really good, thanks. Really good, thanks. Especially after the weekend. So
you've got a big smile on your face, just like us, Jim. I love your Twitter handle. You might have seen a couple of Jim's tweets. He goes by Boring James Millar, which I think is brilliant. Obviously, taking off the James Millar. You're not a boring person though, Jim, are you?
Not all the time. Sometimes. But not all the time.
Sometimes. Listen, let's get into how you became a Bear. What's your story, Jim?
Well, I'm not actually from Falkirk. I grew up in Crieff near Perth. I live in Falkirk now, and my dad's from Falkirk. But and Falkirk was his team. So I remember, I don't know how old I would have been, but I was nagging him saying, I want to start going to games. Always been into football, but I want to start going to games. And he sat me down. He said, right, you've got two options. Either we go to the local team, St Johnstone, or we're going to go to my team, Falkirk. Straight away, I knew. I said, no, I want to go to your team, Dad. I want to see Falkirk. I want to see Falkirk. So that's where I went. Never looked back. But see, if you look at what's happened to Falkirk and St Johnstone since I started supporting St Johnstone, 3 cup wins. They had top 6 finishes, European football. And we've had 2 relegations and mid-table in League One sometimes. So
when did you start following Falkirk then, Jim?
it would have been. I think it was my first season ticket was the first year at the new stadium.
Right.
And I think before that, I'd only seen them at McDermott Park, and when I was actually sitting in the home end.
Right.
I would go to Falkirk games, the St Johnstone Falkirk games, and sit in the home end. But yeah, I think it would be the first season in the new stadium was the first year I started going to games. Yeah.
Well, you've got 2 cup finals and a wee European trip. So.
And a wee European thing, yeah. It's not quite the same as what they've done. But I'll take it.
No worries. And who's your favourite player while you've been watching Falkirk, Jim?
Well, Latapy obviously would be the favourite, but yeah, I don't think he'll ever be beaten for my favourite. But outside of Latapy, it's difficult. I always find that I seem to get I take to the players who have had this real connection with the fans. That's the ones that I take to straight away, even if they're not the best player. I get a connection. So like
Neil Scally.
I didn't mind Neil Scally, but it was more players like Danny Mallow.
Yeah, all right, yeah.
Like even now you see Danny Mallow like at the start of every season posting like good luck to Falkirk message and all that kind of stuff, and I love it when you see a player come into the crowd to watch the game. Yeah. So I mind Will Volks did it away at Easter Road.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is absolutely brilliant.
Actually, this season I've seen both Stephen Kingsley and Craig Sibbald in the stadium. Actually,
Sibbs was there, wasn't he?
Yeah. I think that's brilliant. That's exactly what you need from a player.
Andy Rodgers as well is since he's up football. I've seen him round a couple of times as well. Which is great to see.
They're the ones I always take to.
John, you need to stop pushing Neil Scally on everybody.
Listen, someone is going to come on here one day and say, who's your favourite Falkirk player? And it's going to be Neil Scally. There's 2 members of the Neil Scally Appreciation Society, me and one of our former guest pundits, Chris Hines. And I'm looking for more members. If anyone would like to join the Neil Scally Appreciation Society, please drop us a message on the Twitter, please. I'd love to have more members of this club. Jim, let's get into the game then from yesterday. It was Falkirk 4, it was Clyde 0, Morrison with 2, McGinn with 1. Burrow added to the Burrow collection with a 1 as well. Unchanged team from last week, Ross, no surprises?
Not really. The only one who you might have thought he may have changed was the Burrow for Oliver. But do you know, Gary Oliver, I know I'm a big critic of him, but he's doing a big job. It's maybe not the sexy stuff like scoring goals, but he is, as John McGlynn said in his post-match interview last night, he is bringing a lot of players in. He comes deep a lot. He obviously trying to win the ball, and he's doing a lot of stuff that probably would go unnoticed otherwise. I just wish he could score a couple of goals as well. That would be absolutely dynamite. But otherwise, no, I'm not shocked it was the same team, John.
Yeah, I wouldn't normally start with this, but let's talk about Gary Oliver since you mentioned him there. He's a good player, Gary Oliver. He's a good footballer. Like you say, bring people into play, drops deep, guards the ball, does smart things. The problem is with the system we play, he's not a 9. He's a 10. No. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. He would work well as a 2 if we did play that system with 2 up front, because he's a great foil for it if he had a strike partner. But as a 10, and as we saw, as a 9, and as we saw yesterday, he doesn't get the chances. He's not that fox in the box that maybe Burrow is, as we saw from his goal yesterday, because he drops too deep and he gets caught working too much, if you know what I mean. Do you know what I mean? Rather than being in the right place at the right time, he's caught out of the box, he's dropping deep, he's gathering the ball and doing the work that a 10 would do when, and like you say, he had some good chances yesterday. The header just before half time, we thought he'd actually scored when he skipped and he hit that shot, which just went wide. But yeah, I think Gary Oliver, it's just a shame that he's found himself in this situation. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens going forward with him. But as you say, Ross, we've only got two attacking options at the moment. But you wonder, does Burrow feature after, coming off the bench and scoring there and affecting the game? What do you make of the situation, Jim?
He's obviously a good player. Like he's clearly a good player. I had an argument with a few folks last night actually, and it was he's doing a lot of good work, bringing other players into the game and dropping deep and linking play. But when you're only really playing with that one central striker, they have to score goals, and that's it. They have to be able to contribute and score goals. So I do think he's a good player, and it's not the end of the world against Clyde, against Peterhead. If you have to play him up front, it's really not the end of the world because he will help other players come in. But no, I think we need to sign a number 9 now that Allegri is gone.
Yeah,
we need a number 9.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you say we need goals coming from that, but I mean, when you look at the goals that Morrison is providing this season, another 2 from there, and a great display from Callum Morrison again. I don't know if there was scouts in the stand. I certainly hope there wasn't, because Morrison was absolutely outstanding yesterday. Got the first one again. I've got to take my hat off to Aidan Nesbitt. We've been big critics of certainly at the start of the season of Morrison and Nesbitt. Those 2 goals that he got last week seems to have done his confidence. Plus the fact that he now seems to be playing that further role. He's not having to drop deep. He's affecting the game now, and you saw that he's now got 11 assists for the season. And he set up Morrison obviously for the first yesterday. Have you seen a big difference with Aidan, Ross, as a result of this kind of tactical change?
No, we definitely have. He's definitely benefited from Henderson being in the middle of the park now, because he's doing a lot of the stuff that we were kind of needing Nesbitt to do, or Nessie, as he was nicknamed last year. Yeah. He's definitely stepped up to the plate, to use a Yogiism, and he just looks so lively. Like that ball, that slide rule pass for Morrison for the first one was just absolutely beautiful. Like the weight on the pass was just phenomenal, and obviously Callum put it away so well. And it was no more than we deserved, because we could have been 3-4-0 up at halftime, and probably should have been with the chances again that we created. But an absolute beautiful pass from Nesbitt. And as you said, Morrison is, if there was scouts there yesterday, they would have been very, very impressed. And it wasn't just the goals that he scored. His work rate was phenomenal too. And I know we'll come on to the sending off, but after that sending off, Callum just seemed to go from an 8 to a 10. And it was, everything just was 10 out of 10 from him.
No, absolutely. I mean, that first half, obviously awful conditions as we had throughout the 90 minutes yesterday. But yeah, I mean, the first half, bit of a nothing to start with. We created chances, however. McGinn, I think, passed up a good couple in that first half. Good to see, obviously, got his goal in the end. But you just, you get frustrated sometimes with Stephen McGinn, because like you think he has plenty of chances to score, and you think he should be scoring more than he does. What do you make of McGinn's performance yesterday, Jim?
I mean, I think it was a step up from he had a few weeks where he was really poor. I think it's Henderson coming in beside him. It's given him so much more support.
Yeah.
I don't think he's ever particularly been a goal scoring midfielder. I don't know what his best record is in the league, but I've never thought of him as a goal scoring midfielder, but he does seem to now be getting into positions to get these half chances. Maybe it'd be better if it was falling to someone else in the midfield, but I think he's a tidy player. I do like him, and I think he's a great captain as well.
Yeah, I think, like you say, it all stems. That's 2 people have mentioned that it stemmed from moving that Liam Henderson into the midfield area. Yeah. Obviously, we'll get to the send off in a minute. He might have to change his role in the next couple of weeks, but I think it's another positive that effect that Liam Henderson's had on the team, and that little tactical switch that we've made now is making a big difference. Maybe, like we were saying, Ross, we've been crying out for that Paddy Craig style, Neil Scally style midfielder who'll take the pressure off of McGinn and Nessie as well. But yeah, it's great to see that happening. 1-0 up into we looked like we were coasting it in that first half. I mean, I don't think anyone could deny it. We weren't deserved of our lead in that first half. Let's talk about the penalty though. I didn't at the time. I'll be honest with you. I didn't see it. I didn't make a big thing of it. But Lewis from Falkirk TV screen grabbed it, put it up on the Come On You Baines Falkirk page. Was it a penalty?
It looks a definite penalty to me from well, first it's during the game, so I sit in the south stand. And
were you crying for it at the time, Jim?
Not really.
No one around us, Ross, was asking for it, were they?
No, I think, see, from our angle as well, and it might have been the same for Jim and the Kevin McAllister as well. It just looked like it was a foul. Like there was, it didn't because it was right on the edge as well. We probably, do you know what I mean? It wasn't properly in the box where everybody would be screaming for it. And certainly from we're quite far down. We're just behind the dugout, so it just looked like a far side foul. So that's probably what sort of was in our heads in terms of that. Obviously, on closer inspection, it definitely looks like a foul in the box,
in the box,
line. Yeah,
from the highlights, yeah. And the players' reaction. See, when I seen the players reacting, I thought probably is a penalty then, because they don't react like that. But I think as fans now, because what's that? That's 20 league games, no penalties.
The last penalty we got
need to just be screaming for absolutely everything.
Yeah,
if anyone falls over near the box, let's just scream for a penalty.
Last penalty we got was against East Fife with Lee Griffiths a year ago, pretty much now, which is ridiculous when you look at that. When you look at the chances, the amount of times we're in the box, and we've only had one penalty in a year, in the league. It's just mental, absolutely mental when you look at that.
Do you know what? I don't like. I know Falkirk fans love like a big conspiracy. I don't think it is a conspiracy. I just think the refs are that bad. Like they really, really are, and we saw that yesterday again from his decision making, the ref's decision making with the sendings off. Obviously, he was better than the ref the week before, but that wouldn't be hard. To be better than the ref in the week before, but it's just so bad. And I think it was Jamie Swinney put on Twitter last night or the night before, John. See, because the amount of refs, the quality.
We talked about it on the podcast with the VAR. It's a vacuum. It's an absolute vacuum from the Premier League upwards because of the VAR instalment in the Premier League. Is that all the Grade 1 officials are going to work the VAR now at every game? So suddenly you have this, absolute debt. Like you're getting the dross, you're down to the dross in League 1 and League 2. But and the thing is, there's only so many referees. There's only so many referees at quality, and who wants to be a referee? You know what I mean? Yesterday's man was Peter Stewart. Never trust a man with two first names. Ross Wayne. But it was, it is this vacuum that's left us with, a drought of good officials in the lower leagues. Do
you actually think we would be better off? Remember when in the 90s when like a ref or a linesman got injured and they used to go in the tannoy and say, is anybody able to run a line? Do you not think we'd be like, we're just as well doing that these days?
If it was at the Falkirk Stadium, I'd be having my hand up. I can work it. I'm fine. Penalty. It is worrying. But to be fair to the guy yesterday, I thought he was all right up until, and we'll get into it a bit, the Cole Donaldson sending off. But let's talk. First of all, we got to halftime, and a big shout out to Jack Cunningham. Won £600. I think it was Linda, I think was her name, who won the halftime draw to do the crossbar challenge and won her £600 by scalping the bar. Is Jack the kit man? Is he?
I think he's like the assistant kit man.
Yeah, I think he helps out.
Yeah, he helps
volunteers and helps out with it.
It's a good job he was there though, because like I think, is it Linda? Was it? I think she had a few wines pre-match. There was
She
no way
certainly
she was
looked like
hitting
she
the
had been in hospitality, that's for sure, when she went on the pitch. I wouldn't have fancied her chances, but listen, Jack stood up, absolutely scaled the bar, 600 quid in the bar, so well done, and congratulations, Jack. I think he put on Twitter, I wish I'd had a haircut beforehand, because he was in the Falkirk Herald as well, so well done to him, winning £600. The only other thing to write back about in the first half was these cones or little white things that just kept flying onto the pitch, and the South Stand were cheering because I think one went in the goal, and then later on another one blew onto the pitch, and it was just like, what is that?
Was that what it was? Was it code? Was it?
Aye, it was like
from the subs. Was it?
Yeah, it was the wee ones they stick next to the goal for the subs.
Right,
Yeah, that's what it was.
Because someone, it wasn't you, John, but someone beside me said it was paper plates, and I was like, going, why would they have paper plates in the stadium? This is bonkers, isn't it?
It did look like a paper plate, right enough. That was the entertainment at halftime and during the first half. We come out the second half, 1-0 up, and then, you know, we didn't look in trouble at any time. Another just creating a lot of chances. Liam Henderson, again, Ross, you were bemoaning the fact that Liam Henderson doesn't put his laces through it.
No, he doesn't. He continually tries to side foot every shot that he takes, and it's not as if he puts his like full force through it either. It's like he's trying to place every single shot he takes. Just put your laces through it. You're a big laddie. I'm sure you've got it in you. Just smack it. And do you know, even if he's not, even if it hits off someone, it still might go in. But his finishing wasn't the best. He had a couple of chances. Obviously, Gary Oliver, as we talked about, had 2 or 3 chances as well. It could have been an absolute belter of a scoreline yesterday, but 4. Well, I know it sounds pernickety because we won 4-0, but it could have been. It literally could have been 7 or 8.
Yes. So 1-0 up, and then we're cruising. We're looking like, right, we're just going to get. It's just a matter of time till a second comes, and then big call. Bit of a rush of blood to the head, you know, puts in a challenge. I mean, there was debate where we were standing, and there's certainly when we get into your opinions on it, when we get to the views from the supporters, very divided. I didn't think it was a red card in a million years. Jim?
No, I didn't think it was a red either. You know, it's definitely a heavy challenge. And
he's won it. He's actually got the ball. This is what I don't.
Did he get the ball?
He took the ball. He took the ball. He knocked the ball, and he obviously took the man completely.
Well, that makes it even worse then, because you know I looked at it and thought, heavy tackle, never expecting a red. Never, you know, nobody in the South Stand was expecting. The Kevin McAllister stand was expecting a red.
No.
And then when it came out, it was just like, wow.
I think we'll appeal it. I genuinely think there'll be an.
Do you think he'll win it? The winner though, Ross. I think on the when you've looked back at it, I don't think it's a red.
No, I don't think it's a red either.
It's not, I mean, it's a very, very soft red. It's not a red. It's absolutely, in fact, what am I saying? Soft red. It's never a red. Never a red.
I actually, at the time, I didn't think theirs was a red either. I just shouted like an absolute maniac to get the boy sent off, and I'll admit that. Because I think the fans played a big part in that boy getting sent off for Clyde yesterday. However, having watched it back,
it was knee height.
I do think it's a red card. I didn't at the time. I just thought it was a foul.
Yeah, it was absolutely knee height when you look back at it. So, but like you say, I think obviously once the referee had made that call on a big call, it was only one way he could go with that. So, I mean, it kind of, when we went down to 10 men, you're thinking, oh God, here we go. And they had a big chance as well at the back post. I don't know if that was when it was 10 versus 10 or when it was 10 versus 11, but they had a big chance with PJ Morrison again, who didn't have much to do yesterday, but when he had to do it with the one shot they had on goal, you know, because there was a guy free at the back post and he's like, oh God. And he was at the right, he positioned himself well.
Was that the one that was flagged offside anyway, John? I think, wasn't it? It was. Did we not? Was that the one that was flagged offside?
No, it was the big guy at the back, post with the header.
Right.
I was impressed that Morrison managed to hold on to it. That was the thing that was so impressive to me, is not just knocking it away, not just knocking it back into danger. Held on to it.
Yeah.
Kept it safe, which is great goalkeeping. And he got a bit of stick, didn't he, when he first came in after his injury from the fans?
He did.
But recently he's been really up to it.
I mean, he's not. I mean, in all fairness, he's not had. When you look at the stats from yesterday, there was one shot on goal from Clyde yesterday, and that was it. But he did what he had to do, and that's when you're in a situation, I guess, as a goalkeeper where you're not got much to do. That's when you really make your money, when you've got to switch on. So 10 versus 10 it went, and as we discussed there, I think it was, when you look at the replay, it was a bad challenge from the boy Hines for Clyde. He went in at knee height, and luckily Liam looks like he's okay from it, because that's when we're talking about how thin the squad's getting and how well we've done with Liam Henderson going into that midfield role, that was the last thing you'd want. We get the second then when it goes 10 versus 10. Scrappy, but there was Stephen McGinn had a few chances during the match and just put the game to bed really at that point, Ross.
Yeah, it was a nice turn and finish actually when you see it back. And there was footage on online last night of someone who was recording from behind the goals. I think they maybe sit at the section nearest the sort of west stand, and there was actually, you could see the wind had moved the ball when he went to hit it as well. So he's done really well to actually connect with it, and it obviously settled the nerves, because at 1-0 we were still, the arse was twitching a little bit.
It was,
even though they didn't have much of the ball or many chances. It was never ever safe. And then, so yeah, brilliant for Big McGinn. Deserved his goal. And is that not his third or fourth goal against Clyde this season or something?
Oh yeah, he's scored a few. He has certainly scored a few.
He scored a goal against them, didn't he?
I mean, he's on 3 goals for the season. He's on 3 goals for the season now. So
yeah, I think they're all against Clyde.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was, he scored both goals on the 2-0 win at home.
Yeah.
Of course it was. Yeah, of course. Yeah. So that's 3 goals against Clyde. Play them every week, according to Stephen McGinn. So I settled the nerves, like you say, Ross, and then we're cruising after that. Really, they didn't offer anything. They were quite poor actually, Clyde. But then we have Cal again, just like you say, when you went down to the 10, Ross, constantly work. How many balls went across that box yesterday without anyone in the end? And that's when we get back to the Gary Oliver situation. If you had a 9 in there, would they have been in there and in around that box to, because there was so many balls that Cal whizzed across that box.
I actually think if Burrow had been on a bit earlier, I think we would have scored another couple of goals, because you're right, because Burrow does seem to be the more of the poacher out of the two. And so much so that the goal that Burrow scored, I don't think Gary Oliver would have scored it. Don't think he would have been in that position to score. So I think we could have. But the amount, you're right, the cross balls that Callum was putting in were just beautiful. Some of the crossing was great. The positions that he were putting them in was fantastic as well. We just didn't capitalise.
He just worked really, really hard yesterday, Callum. He well deserved his man of the match award. And then we get the free kick. Ross, you turned to me saying this is going in. And
I did. I said there's recorded.
We didn't film it. By the way, if you want a different view from the Folk TV, there's a great video up that Cheryl Liddell put up, or from the South Stand. And the most amazing thing about it is the ball moves. Now, the referee just let it happen. He still gave the goal, even though the ball moved. And I was like, why? Because you saw it moving before he hit the kick, and he still hit it. I mean, what a strike it was. Top bin, keeper's not had any chance, but I'm amazed that the referee just let that go, because the ball moved. So, I don't know.
It was. It doesn't shock me that he let the goal go, does it?
Well, no, probably not. No.
It's
I wondered if Morrison had missed, if he would have said to the referee, "Oh, that ball was moving. I should take it again."
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
that's true. Maybe the ref had 3-0 on his coupon.
Oh yeah, that's right. But that was blown out the water when we got the last kick of the ball. We added to the Burrow collection, big Ramarn. Like you say, right place, right time when the keeper spilled it. And like you say, Ross, would Gary Oliver have been in that position? I don't think he would have been. But
yeah, I don't think he would. And it's not to say he wouldn't have finished it. But I don't know if he would have been in that position.
But Burrow is definitely more of the 9 than Gary Oliver. So if we are going to play this system, I'll just say that Burrow should be in there instead of Gary. As much as Gary, but I mean, then I guess John McGunn's looking at saying the amount he contributes to the team and the amount of work he does for the team. And if we are getting goals from, when you look down there, we've not got, Callum's, our top goal scorer, 11's like Callum, and then we're getting goals from all over the pitch when you look at it. Kai's got a couple, Steve McGinn, as you say, he's got 3, Aidan Nesbitt weighed in, he's took 3 now.
What's Burrow on now, John? Maybe 5 or 6?
Burrow's on 6 now, yeah. Burrow's on 6 now. So you think he could get to double figures as well quite easily this season. And, you would like to, I mean, it's the same what Allegri has went, because it would be nice to have 3 or 4 players on double figures for the season, because certainly we're scoring, we are scoring a lot of goals. I think, are we the top scorers in the league? I think we are.
I don't know. I don't think we've got the best.
I think Edinburgh
Stars
City
have still got the best goal difference
as well.
Yeah, we might be the top scorers in the league soon enough, because we're on 42 while Edinburgh are on 43. We've got 2 games in hand, so I'm just taking it as a given. We're the top scorers in the league, so there we go. So good all round. Happy with that, boys? Nothing really to complain about, is there, apart from sending off and maybe the penalty?
Sending off, yeah.
Yeah. So will we hear from the manager, John McGunn?
John, not the perfect conditions today for a game of football, but your team had a great win.
Yeah, I think, considering the conditions, the football was brilliant. Because there's a lot of good football there in the conditions, with the greatest respect, even in the dugout. But sitting in the stands, you didn't appreciate how bad the wind is out there. So trying to play football is no easy. So I think, considering the conditions that we had, we've created chance after chance after chance. Said 17 times, we're a very, very attacking team. The first half, the only criticism or being disappointed in the first half would have been the fact that we won them more goals ahead, because we had, great chances, balls across the face of the goal just looking for tap-in. Second half, balls across the face of the goal looking for tap-ins, chance after chance after chance. And I think the only thing you would be a little bit disappointed was the fact that we didn't score more goals. We ended up scoring 4 and we could have scored a right good few more, but a really, really good performance overall. I thought we dominated the first half. Pages had very little to do. We keep a clean sheet. Defensively we were good. Blaine in his second game, you see the engine that he's got for getting up and doing. He's linked up very well down that right hand side with Callum Morrison, who had a great game as well. Callum, the energy levels again that we've got down there, the pace that we've got going down that side now is frightening. But Collar was strolling the game until he gets himself sent off. We'll have to look at that, and if we feel there's room for an appeal, then we'll see, but I've not seen it back. Sean strolled the game. Leon did fine. I thought Stephen McGinn and Liam Henderson were excellent in there, controlled the game for us, won the ball back for us. Obviously Liam, being such a tall lad, he wins headers for us in there in the midfield area, which has made a difference to us as well. And Stephen gets himself a goal. Aidan again will be very high up there, in 12 something K or nearly 13K, involved in all sorts of things throughout the game for us. It's a really, really good first goal that we score. Great ball in behind, breaking the lines, and Callum takes it well. Second goal, I thought we'd like to have had that a little bit earlier than we got it. But delighted when it came, the ball in the box and breaking in there with a lot of that happening. Obviously Stephen gets in and gets his goal, Romarin scores, and then Callum with his free kick. So he's had a really good day today, Callum. He's very much in form, flying at the moment. So long may that continue. Kai, unfortunately, we had to take Kai off. We had to get a centre back on the pitch when we went down to 10 men. So that was a blow to have to take anyone off. But unfortunately, we felt probably the best shape to come up with would be with Kai coming off, Brad going in there, Nizzy just slides into left mid. We need the energy levels, and Nizzy will go up and down the pitch, and Callum just flatten off into a 4. And I thought Gary Oliver up front worked his socks off. He brought the team into play. He was excellent in both halves, linking the play, second half in particular, making runs in the channel, holding the ball up, bringing others into play. And Gary will be a little bit frustrated in the score today because he's done everything bar score. He's had a really, really good game. So, good all-round team performance. PJ's had a save from a header from the free kick, which was very, very important at that time in the game. Yeah, a good day in terrible conditions, but we managed to put on a show when I know everyone here would be like, the wind chill today, very low temperatures with the wind chill. So thanks for everyone who came along today. It's very, very much appreciated. You all season, you guys have been turning up in big numbers, supporting the team, backing the team, and hopefully there's more to come. We've got now Scottish Cup tie against Alloa, and obviously we want to run the cup. So does everyone. So will Alloa. They've got a positive result today. We've got a positive result. So good game to look forward to next week.
406 on McGuinn Watch this week for one question. He's certainly up. I think I think the highest we've had so far this season is 435. So we'll see if we can tip the 5-minute mark at some point. John just talks through the whole game as he does. Conditions he mentioned. I love how he got into kind of easy for me to say, meteorological facts when talking about the wind chill factor there, which you hear on from Heather the Weather and Judith Ralston all the time. So I quite like that. Talk about chance after chance. One point we didn't mention actually as well is Blaine, who again has, since in the 2 games, you talk about Henderson moving around the field, having a proper right back's made a huge difference, Ross, and John mentioned it there.
Yeah, massively. The connection that he and Callum have got already is pretty good looking. So,
and as he mentions, the energy down that side now, where we had it on the, Leon going down one side, he's just full of energy and will just, give you everything. And you've got Kai there as well now. I mean, it's more of a balance. It's looking such more of a balanced team now when you look at it.
It's very balanced, and I think it probably scares teams a little bit because you don't know. Up until recently, you knew, like, Callum's always been a threat, but because we had Yeats there, we had Mackay there, there wasn't as much happening down the right-hand side, which maybe nullified Morrison a little bit. So it was quite obvious that we were going to go down the McCann and the Kennedy route. But now we've got these 4 players who are so much energy. They've got a good connection with each other. They're creating chances. They get up and down that wing. It can only be a good thing. So that was a disappointment for yesterday that Kennedy had to go off, because, again, I thought Kennedy was doing really, really well.
Yeah, he certainly has settled into the game. Talked about chance after chance, Jim, as well. 18 chances yesterday we created. Clyde's 1. It's just, I don't know how you feel about it, Jim. It's just, you just feel that we should be getting. We're sitting here with 4-0 up, but I just feel when you come up against a Dunfermline, maybe an Airdrie, that maybe one day we're going to regret creating all these chances and not getting on the end of it.
Yeah. And I think that's probably why McGlynn's trying so hard to find a number 9, try and find a striker in this window. Someone who is going to get one chance, put it away, and that's the game. That's what we need. Someone who can do that. Yeah. And Burrell's decent. I like Ray's decent. Oliver's decent. But it just feels like someone who's clinical, a really clinical striker, which is probably the hardest thing.
Yeah, it's the hardest thing. Yeah.
If we had that there, it feels like that would be the whole team, complete, well balanced. There'd be depth in the squad. It feels like that's just the missing piece now, is that number 9 who will put everything away.
Absolutely. And then John McGuinn mentioned stats here. Aidan Nessie running 12 kilometres. Like, that's incredible numbers for and you can tell Aidan, he just, like I say, he just seems to be full of confidence at the moment. And then you go top assists in the league, 11 assists is an incredible return. So long may it continue for young Aidan. Let's look at the view from you guys. Drew kicks us off with saying, important win at Morrison, brilliant. Oliver up top needs to stop. Didn't look like a red for us, but generally no point appealing it. We'll never go against the referees. Clyde's looked like a red, I felt, but perhaps biased. Good character to win so comfortably in the end.
Well, I think we might appeal it.
It sounds like, I think once John McGuinn looks back at that and sees it, I think, you're right, Ross. I think he'll appeal it.
Yeah. Ian says, another dreadful referee. Both dismissals were yellows at most. Always looked comfortable today. Kennedy frustrating. Progress up wing, then cuts across rather than trying to pass defenders, but obviously talented. I see something different in Kennedy. I thought he doesn't frustrate me. I think he does really well.
Yeah, Grant goes decent first half, but miles better in the second. Morrison played a blinder and scored a wonder free kick, even though the ball moved. Rowe had another good game, and 4-0 should have been 6 or 7. Was worried at 1-0 we wouldn't kill them off, but once McGinn got the second, it was game over. Yeah, we said all that.
Definitely. One of our previous guest pundits, actually, Josh Heggie, he dropped us a really detailed post-match comments. I'll read through that just now. So, what a result today. Great performance from everyone. Clyde never looked like scoring other than one chance in the second half, which PG dealt with, just as Jim mentioned. Again, PG seems to be growing in confidence, which is great. Morrison was outstanding, his best game of the season on both ends of the park as well. His running back, especially when down to 10, was crucial to keep us in it. Absolutely, I think we spoke about that earlier. From Josh's angle, he thought it was a borderline red. Not really complaining, and the ref showed his consistency when sending off a similar challenge for Clyde. Oliver, bless him, I thought he played really well other than his finishing. I'd love to see him either play up top with Lowell when fit behind him, or play Oliver as a 10 behind Burrow. Cannot state enough the difference Rowe has made in such a short time. His forward running is freeing up so much more space, and his defensive strength showing as well as his pace. Looks to be a great addition so far. Concerned about squad depth now, though. All in all, excellent game all round. Falkirk Dafty is the guy who put the cones out that kept blowing onto the park.
Absolutely. Josh, great analysis from Josh, and I agree with pretty much everything he had to say. Graham says, solid win and good performance, especially second half. Dawson's red looked justified to me. Excessive forfeit endangers the safety of an opponent. Clyde, I felt was a bit harsh. I thought the crowd gave it. I think when Graham looks back at the Clyde one,
yeah,
I think when you look back at it, he's went in at the knee. He can't do that.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with Graham. At the time, I thought it was like, my initial thought was it wasn't as bad. And I think the crowd probably did help to an extent, but when you do watch it back, it's a definite red. I was, as soon as the tackle went in, I was shouting off. You started
the chants, Ross.
Yeah. Craig says never a red card.
Yeah, it's split. It's completely split.
Yeah. The ref had a good game up until that point. Morrison, Rowe and Hendo, the standout performers for me. Oliver battled away all game, but he fluffed a couple of chances too. The game was never in doubt. Come on, you Bairns.
Absolutely. And Andrew says, I didn't see the score coming based in the first half. Thought we were going to scrape a 1-0 win as we're missing too many clear chances. Felt the red was harsh, yellow at most, but at least the ref was consistent, something that hasn't been happening for us in games. Yeah, fair play to the ref, but never trust a man with two names. First names, apart from Ross Wayne.
Davey says, great to get another 3 points at home. Keep building the momentum going. For me, it was a red card. Free kick from Morrison was superb. Even the ball moves before he struck it again. Come on,
Vissla Queen, both red cards really shouldn't have been red cards. Apart from that, it has to be one of the best refereeing performances for the past while. I think when you see that penalty decision, you might think otherwise. There wasn't a bad player for us on the pitch today, really. Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think there was no player in the Falkirk top yesterday that, was at fault for anything, I don't think.
No, totally agree. Carl Wilson, oh my God, what a performance by Falkirk today. All 4 goals earned today. Cal's free kick was outstanding, and that was never a red card for Cole. Another shocking ref. Why is it always us? But back to the game. Clyde are one of the worst teams I've seen now. It's Alloa 3 times in 4 weeks. Yeah, it's a massive run of games, but we do play Alloa so many times in the next month.
I know. We'll get into the Alloa game as we preview that just in a bit. And finally, Willie leaves us with Clyde's got cummed on. Nice and simple. Right, okay, that leads us to the big question then. Who is your Falkirk Daft rated player of the week? Jim, we'll come to you first.
It's hard because they were all really good, but I would probably go for Morrison.
Yeah.
I think Morrison was just that step up. Constantly tracking back, constantly running, free kicks fantastic. Yeah, it's got to be Morrison.
It's got to be, hasn't it? Ross?
Yep, I think it's going to be a clean sweep for Cal today. as Jim said, it wasn't just the goals. His general work rate was phenomenal, especially when we went down to 10 men. So no, definitely. John, are you in agreement?
Yes, full house. I think Morrison's, like you say, the chances he created, his work rate, he was winning balls, he was just up and down. The link up he had with Blaine, it excites me and makes me a lot more confident when we talked about the balance in the side for these games against Dunfermline and for the rest of the season going forward. The big thing is if we can keep that team, maybe with Burrow coming in for over, fit and injury free, we've got a really good chance of just keeping this momentum going that we're starting to build. You just hope that when it comes to a Kelty away, that doesn't stop and we don't slip up as we have done previously in the season, because all it needs now is one slip up from us for Dunfermline to get that league. We've got no, it's last chance saloon for us. If they keep doing what they're doing, which is just, shit house in the league as they have done, we're really going to struggle if we drop points. So you just hope with that team stays fit, stays injury free, and I think we could be on to mark, because I think the chances we're creating, in the last few games, but I'm going to say this, Queen of the South, I think could be a worry, and I think we've played them 3 times. I think Dunfermline have got to play them twice yet. I think Marvin Bartley is going to get a tune out of that team, and I think that could help us a wee bit. But fingers crossed. Anyway, so yeah, Cal Morrison for me. Falkirk Dafty, Jim.
It can't be a player. I'm not going to pick Donaldson because I don't think it was a red card. So it will have to be like whoever it was that said in the fan comments, whoever put out the cones can get it.
Right, the codes are getting it, Ross.
That's a tough one, John. Probably for the first time, I don't have any critique of any player contribution. I might, if you'd asked me yesterday, I might have said Gary Oliver, but I've kind of warmed to the idea that he did actually.
yeah.
Because yesterday, when everybody was standing up, giving him a clap, I'm like,
Ross, that's 2 weeks in a row. Ross has not stood up and applauded. In fact, did you applaud yesterday?
I might have given him one.
You gave him a polite golf applause yesterday, when he came off. But I think he, like you say, put on a shift and you've warmed him. So no Falkirk Dafty for you. I'm giving it to the referee.
Yeah.
Penalty, you missed a penalty. Cole Donaldson wasn't a sending.
It was better than.
It's hard because we're comparing to the referee from the week before.
Exactly.
Exactly. We'll go with that. We'll go with the referee.
Go with Peter Stewart, the referee from yesterday. Brilliant. Well, that's Clyde. Let's wrap a bow on that. Jim, thank you so much for coming on and being our guest pundit. Really appreciate that.
Thank you very much. It's been good.
If you want to be a guest pundit, just like Jim, you can drop us a DM on Twitter, Facebook, or you can drop us an email, falkirkdaftpod@gmail.com.
This is Falkirk Daft.
I feel this should be a song, Ross. Russell Latapy is coming to town. That doesn't really scan to it. Latapy is coming to town. Latapy is coming. Anyway, so Russell Latapy is coming back to Falkirk this June. And he'll be at the Dobbie Hall for an evening with Russell Latapy on June the 22nd. And Falkirk Daft are proud to support it. Fingers crossed, by the way. I've heard that Dobbie Hall might be closed down, so I'm fingers crossed it's still open till June.
All right, no, I've not heard that.
Oh, the council cuts, mate. They're cutting everything. There's closing the gym at Stennismuir. There's talk about the Larbert High swimming pool closing. Oh, the council would have it. Anyway, so fingers crossed the Dobbie Hall's still there. But as it is still there. June 22nd, Russell Latapy will also be there, and we're proud to support it here at Falkirk Daft. Me and Ross will be there on the night, asking your questions and a few of our own. You can get tickets still by checking out the episode description, or you can head to eltevents.live. That's eltevents.live. But right now on Falkirk Daft, we have 2 Hall of Fame packages to give away. Ross, what is in that Hall of Fame package?
Yeah, it's a really good package, actually, John. So the Hall of Fame package is it's worth £125 per ticket, so £250 all in. So you get early entry to the Dobbie Hall, access to the VIP room with a complimentary welcome drink on arrival as well. I'm sure Russell will be having a complimentary welcome drink or drinks. You can enjoy a hot fork buffet in the company of the man himself, and also some current and past former Falkirk players that have been invited too. There's a meet and greet with Russell, which will include a professional photo taken at the time. You'll get a print signed and personalised by Russell too. And last but not least, if that wasn't enough, a Falkirk 2006 style retro shirt signed and personalised by the main man himself, and that will be given to the winners on the night as well. And those shirts won't be sold anywhere. They will literally only be available with that package on the night. So it's a really good prize.
It's cracking, and all you need to do to win that is give us your questions for Russell Latapy, and basically we're going to judge the best stroke funniest on next week's show, and they will win that package. So you've got another week to do this, but to just give you a wee taster of what's coming in so far, we've got a few questions in, Ross.
We do, yes. So everybody's friend of ours, Will Lang, he got in touch to say, does Russell remember the night out and behind the wall? Does he know what Dwight York thought of Falkirk? And was it a myth that Brian Lara was there as well?
I've been straight. Brian Lara's not been to Falkirk. There's no chance. If
Russell Latapy and Dwight York have had a night out in Falkirk, then who's to say that Brian Lara...
Was Rosie still open when they were up in Falkirk?
I don't know.
I don't think it must have been closed by then, because you would have heard plenty of stories of Russell and Rosie's.
I think so.
Yeah, but Brian Lara, I don't think Brian Lara was in Falkirk. I'd love to know if that was the case, but yeah. So that's a question from Will. Callum Wilson says, my question for Russell is, who's your favourite player growing up? What player do you base your style on, and how many fags did you have before the match? So that's the question from Cal Wilson.
Yep, Runhouse71, one of our Twitter regulars, he says his question, similar vein to Will's, as for the magician would be, can Russell spill his best stories of being in behind the wall in Falkirk with a certain Mr. Dwight York?
I completely missed Dwight York in Falkirk. I did, but I was DJing when Russell played for Hibs. I was DJing in Edinburgh at a club called Gaia, which is down King Stables Road. Now there was one night it was actually I was in the DJ booth, and this is before I knew the legend would arrive at Falkirk, and people said, Russell Latapy and Dwight York are in here. I was like, what? And then right enough, the Bolgian wanders up to the DJ booth to ask for a request, looking for some reggae music. I'm like, mate, it's a cheesy nightclub on a Thursday night. Obviously, knowing what I'm doing around, all right, Russell, Bob Marley it is.
Yeah, the one Bob Marley song you've got.
Exactly.
Dwight York, he was up for, so it was do you remember the Russell Latapy day, Falkirk versus Hibs?
Yes.
And Dwight York was playing for Sunderland at the time, and he famously got in a Sunderland taxi, and just headed straight to Falkirk. Got there at like 8 o'clock that night, and we were out. And I'll remember it. He turned up, and he was in behind the wall, and he had like a black skip cap on, and the bouncer nearly never let him in because he had a cap on. And then he took his cap off, and the bouncer was like, "What in?"
That's right, York. And you come to Pete Moody says, question for Russell, what's your most memorable piece of skill or showboating you've done during the game? That is a very good question. I like that.
However, for me, one of the best ones I've had so far is from Grant Prinderly. If cigarettes were about to go extinct and you had one left in your 20 deck, who would you share your last draw with and why?
That's what you've got to beat. That is what you've got to beat, because Grant is well in pole position for these tickets at the moment. And Brian finishes off, not really, he says, this is definitely a statement and not a question. In my opinion, the finest player ever to grace the navy blue, a football genius. So thanks for that, Brian. But yeah, Grant is the forerunner at the moment. Listen, if you want to win that Hall of Fame package, like Ross says, it's worth 125 quid. We've got 2 to give away. Get your questions in before next week's show. You can drop us them on Facebook, Twitter, or if you even want to drop us an email, falkirkdaftpod@gmail.com. We'll round up all the questions, we'll get through them next week, and we'll decide who is winning that package for the Hall of Fame and the Russell Latapy night. And if you want tickets for that, check the description below.
This is Falkirk Daft.
Right, Ross, it's the first of 3 times we play Alloa in the next month, and it is the Scottish Cup. It's quite nice, isn't it? It feels like a bit of a relief because you're just in the league and you're just like, right, we need to win today, we need to win today, we need to win today. And obviously we want to win the Cup, but it's just a wee bit, feels a little less pressure, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. And it's the Scottish Cup. It's always good. I love the Scottish Cup. It's probably, well, it's definitely my most favourite of the tournaments that Falkirk.
Oh, not the Challenge Cup, no?
No, it's not. Although we are obviously the world
record
holders, but yeah, for me the Scottish Cup's brilliant. I've always loved the Scottish Cup, especially, and this one's got a wee bit of an edge because obviously I know we play them in the league.
I just when the draw came out, I'm just like, Alloa, no Alloa. You just want someone different. You want someone that's not in your league, you know.
I know. But there'll be a massive Bairns crowd there. I've no doubt about it. And it would be fantastic to get through, not just because it's a Scottish Cup and you want to get through, but obviously financially the club could be doing with getting through this round of the Scottish Cup as well. So I have everything crossed that we just put the ball in the net as many times as we can, as we have been, and come down the road happy.
I mean, Alloa beat Broomhill. I'm not going to call them open goal Broomhill in the last round, which I was delighted about because I don't know why I've got a real hate for these podcast guys and YouTubers that are now running their football. I don't know why. I just don't like it. But they beat Broomhill, so well done to Alloa beating them in the last round. But I mean they're one of the form teams in the league when you look at that. That's 9 points in their last 6, including the 3 against Edinburgh, and they're unbeaten in 5 in the league now. So they're going good guns at the moment, Alloa, and I hate to say it, but apparently Connor Salmon had the game of his life there at the weekend against Edinburgh. He was unplayable, and I've looked at the boys at the Wasnets podcast, and they were saying he was unbelievable there at the weekend. There got 2 goals as well. I think that's his highest scoring return for the season in a long time. 101. That was his 101st and 102nd goal in British football, and like you say, the highest goals return he's had since 2010-2011. I just wish he was doing it for us. Yeah,
I know, because he's that type of guy that John McGlynn would actually probably.
Do you know what? See if he was in the side tonight, I bet he would have scored an absolute barrel.
I genuinely think he would. I think he'd be scoring a few, certainly more than he's got for Alloa. But I genuinely, and he looks leaner as well. Like, see when he played with us. Granted, he's a big lad and he goes to the gym and stuff, right? But he actually looks leaner now than he did, so he's probably a bit fitter. So yeah, that's a frustration that he's doing it for somebody else. But you know, Connor Salmon aside, we just need to marshal him really, really well. Hopefully, Donaldson will be in the defence to do that. If not, it's probably Mackay coming in, I would think, because I think he'll keep Henderson in the midfield.
I think it will be Mackay that'll move into that role alongside Sean Mackey, which doesn't fill me with massive confidence, especially when you're up against Connor Salmon. Mackay's a big boy though, and he can deal. He's a big physical boy, and he can deal with that. We know Sean likes a tackle as well, and likes putting himself about. So I'll be interested to see what they do. I mean, they've signed a fullback from Dundee on loan, a guy called Luke Strachan. They brought back Scott Gallagher from East Fife, his contract was terminated. I don't know if you remember, Scott Gallagher was the keeper, and then he moved to Hibs after Alloa. Decent keeper, so they brought back him in as well. They've got some good players, Alloa. You know, Offord we've talked about with the boys from. I think he might still be injured. I might be wrong on that. Guy Daniel Church, Stuart Ross. Now I don't know if you follow Stuart Ross on Twitter. This is the guy who does all the stats for the players and stuff. And he's actually, he's flagged up Daniel Church recently, and looking at his stats, he looks like a good player on paper as well. So they've got players they've got to be wary of, but. What way do you see it going, Ross? I mean, bearing in mind this is the first of 3.
Yeah. I think we've got enough about ourselves. The confidence is high just now for us. The confidence is high for them as well, though. I think it's got the makings of a brilliant cup time.
Yeah.
I think it'll be end to end because the pressure is off from that league sort of headache. I think it'll be an open goal. an open game, beg your pardon, and I think there will be goals. Honestly, I think this will be a high-scoring cup tie. Again, there'll be a big crowd in there who'll be up for it. Hopefully, it'll be a bit better day weather-wise as well, because it's obviously you've got that open terrace, which is notoriously not great on a wet day. But yeah, I think it's going to be a cracker.
Yeah, are you taking the car or are you taking the train?
No, I think it's a Scottish Cup day, so we'll let the train take the strain, I think.
And where will we be drinking? But what bars should we recommend to the Falkirk supporters to be drinking in Alloa?
Well, the old brewery's a massive favourite of Bairns fans whenever we play Alloa. It's usually packed out with Bairns fans, so I would again assume that will be the destination of choice. I think they'll be pretty busy. Don't know what the lunchtime game is, not looked.
It's Celtic Morton.
Oh, well, okay. So I'll probably ignore most of that. So, but no, Scottish Cup day, John. That's always good. So, and as I say, I think there'll be a pretty big Bairns crowd heading through for it.
I'll be missing it because it's the Wayne's birthday. So I've got stuff to do for that because my wee boy's turning into a teenager. I'm getting so old. I know. So, so predictions.
I think there'll be a lot of goals. I'm going to say, and this is odd for me because I don't normally say stuff similar like this, but I'm going to say 4-3 Falkirk.
Wow. That's like a Wayne's prediction. That's what you ask a Wayne. What's the score going to be?
I know. I think it's going to be 7-6. No, I genuinely think there's going to be a lot of goals. I think it's going to be, I'm going to go 4-3, which is a lot of goals for us to concede, but I think there's goals in, I think there's going to be goals in the game.
Yeah, I think so as well. I'll take 3-1, I think. Question is, would you sacrifice the Scottish Cup exit for 6 points in the league?
Yeah.
Would you?
Aye. No, I would do. I definitely would, because I want to give ourselves the best possible chance of getting out of this league, which is winning it. So for me, 100% league over the cup. Obviously, financially, it is going to be probably really worthwhile for the club getting through the cup tie. But if you said to me that we won the 2 games against them coming up and Dunfermline were going to drop a couple of points, I'd take that every day.
Fair play. So on to Alloa, we see you at the Rex this Saturday.
This is Falkirk Daft.
And that is it for Falkirk Daft for this week. Thank you very much for listening. Before we go, I've got to mention, Ross, our merchandise, which you can buy right now at shop.spreadshirt.co.uk/Falkirk-Daft. You'll see the link in the description below. We've got free delivery until Wednesday, so if you've got some Christmas money left over, you fancy getting yourself some Falkirk Daft merch, you can kick about the stadium, all different looking. Look at me, I'm different, and get that sorted now because you're going to get free delivery up until Wednesday. So check out the link below, shop.spreadshirt.co.uk/Falkirk-Daft, and you'll get free delivery on stuff until Wednesday. We've got all sorts of stuff up there, hoodies. You can get an apron, you can get a Falkirk Daft apron. I've got 2 designs, got one with a Highlander and one with just the Falkirk Daft logo. So plenty to choose from. You get baby grows, you can get mouse mats, you can get phone covers. Get it all. Just check it out. We'd love to see more pictures of you guys in it. I've got to mention the boys, and we forgot to mention it. A whole bunch of boys were down at the darts at the Alley Pally, and all had Falkirk Daft, different colour Falkirk Daft t-shirts on. So shout out to those boys that were doing it.
It was fantastic, wasn't it? It was brilliant.
Brilliant effort from those boys. So check out all our merch on there. On to our Ross. Looking forward to that. I'm sure I'm gutted. I'm actually gutted because I'd like a wee couple of pints, and
I know.
Scottish Cup's always a special day, isn't it? And I mean, certainly a record in it as well.
Exactly. So fingers crossed it's a good a nice wee cup run. I'll feel your pain because if we do get through, I'm on holiday for the next round of the Scottish Cup. So no doubt we'll end up getting an absolute cracker of if we get through. No doubt we'll end up getting a cracker of a draw, and I'm missing it. But unless the weather is freaky weather again and it's postponed. I don't know if I'm gotten that lucky.
No chance of getting that. So please review the podcast if you could on Apple, Spotify. We really appreciate that. You can get us on Twitter, as we said, Facebook, Instagram, all that lot at Falkirk Daft. And if you want to jump in our Discord, there was a lot of chat in the Discord, been a lot of chat over Discord, a lot of foreign Bairns that have jumped onto it. I've got a guy from Boston who's a Falkirk supporter, Boston Bairn, who's likes to get involved, so shout out to everyone on the Discord channel as well, all the chat that's going on in there. The links for the Discord, if you want to chat with like-minded Falkirk supporters, that's in the links below as well. That's it, let's put a bow on this episode, Ross. Looking forward to the Cup, fingers crossed for a win. Gutted I'm not going, but we're all happy after Clyde. And I guess we've just got to say one last thing.
Expect the unexpected, buddy, as always.